Donato's just didn't add bacon to their pizzas. They added bacon to their bacon. Canadian bacon and hardwood smoked bacon. Or Canadian bacon and Chipotle seasoned bacon. Get $2 off a large bacon duo or any large pizza. Use promo code 2. Donato's. Every piece is important.
Who are you texting?
My therapist.
You text with your therapist?
Text, video chat, call. Yep.
That sounds too easy. How did you find her?
I just went to betterhelp.com/save. She's a licensed therapist and it's all online. I connect when it's convenient for me and don't waste time driving anywhere. Plus, it's affordable.
I wonder if I should try it.
It's great to talk to someone in confidence. She's helped me sort out quite a few things. And right now you save 10% off the first month when you go through betterhelp.com/save.
betterhelp.com/save. Got it.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Super J-Cast. I'm Joel Abraham, joined by Damon McDonald. Damon, I feel the listeners missed out on a lot of good stuff. The preamble today, we talked Judaism, Christmas dinners, we're talking whiskey. It's good stuff.
All of us will keep us on the floor. Yes, we do. And what's funny is that when we do that, we know it's good, and we're like, why don't we press record? But some of the stuff, I feel like, I don't know, we'd probably wanted to go over the air. Just some of the, like my weekend and shit. Like some of it is a little bit embarrassing. But needless to say, I am. Let's just leave it at I am. Joel is passing along traditions to his daughter, and while I polish off a bottle of whiskey with a friend and wind up on the floor. So there's two different, there's polar opposite experiences here past week, but still both bringing, dare I say, joy to the pro wrestling world.
And that's it. We are all about joy here on the Super J-Cast. Although, having said that, Damon, I hate to start off on a negative.
Oh, no.
But with the way things have been going over the past few months, I do feel like we need to open the show with the elephant in the room. There's been a lot of heated debate over whether this product is good anymore. I have been optimistic, more than most, about stuff that's happened since the summer. The weird decisions, the terrible matches. But honestly, after what happened this weekend, it's the last straw for me. I'm done. I can't defend it anymore. I'm just about ready to wash my hands of this mess. The critics are right. It is bad. And I can't even bring myself to watch it anymore. I'm officially done with Arsenal Football Club.
Oh, so that's it, huh? After I bought you a sign last year, a nice little road sign. Oh. They stink this year? Or are they fucking awful? Are they breaking your heart?
Yeah, we're in a relegation battle. We're like 15th at the moment. We've
Really?
lost 4 home games in a row. Just like everything is going wrong. We're playing like shit. We stopped scoring goals. Our star striker is just completely off the boil, and the manager seems to have lost the dressing room. There's leaks coming out in the press about people who are not happy, all the scuffles that are going on the training grounds, and yeah, it's just pretty depressing. I mean, obviously, I'm not washing my hands. I will continue to be an Arsenal fan, but it's bringing me no joy at the moment. And we have a question from listener Minty. Minty, you made a brilliant bot for us on the Super J-Cast Discord, so thank you very much for that, Minty. Minty asked us, which championship ground are you most looking forward to visiting after Arsenal get relegated at the end of this season? I've actually been to a lot of them, Minty. Back in the day when I went to lots of Arsenal away games, I've been to Norwich, Swansea, Stoke, Middlesbrough, Cardiff, Blackburn, Birmingham, QPR and Derby, and a variety of experiences. I'll tell you which one I'm not looking forward to, and that's the fucking racists at Millwall. Bristol City, that's a nice one. I drove past Ashton Gate after Mally and I went to a wedding in Dartmoor. We took a detour to Cheddar Gorge. You've heard of cheddar cheese, Damon. We went to Cheddar Gorge and had some excellent cave-matured cheese there. A cheese pilgrimage.
That sounds fucking great, actually. Yeah, I would be all over that. Cheryl's a big fan of the cheese as well, so yeah, that would be good. How do I know Millwall? How do I know Millwall? How do I know Millwall? But I do know Millwall.
They have an unsavory reputation.
That's maybe where they have a lot of the
bad fans.
Yeah, the hooliganism, if I'm not mistaken. I actually have a book about all these different teams and their associated gangs that have been throughout the years.
Yeah, there's like a weird American fascination with British hooliganism.
Yeah, it is. I don't know why. I mean, I don't want to say I have a fascination with it, but like I'm the dude that's going to watch TV and watch like the 24-hour marathon of like prison lockup or something, like real life stories from maybe you're fascinated by the thing you fear the most, I guess. Like I just can't imagine being in the middle of something like that, like it breaking out around you, and you're like, holy shit, what the fuck do? I got to get out of here because there's a riot that's about to happen. But there is something like. And again, I don't know everything. I'm kind of talking out my ass, so I'm asking more questions than posing a fact here. But, like, isn't it? I mean, these clubs are literally right on top of each other, like blocks from each other in many cases, right?
Yeah, some of them are. Like, for example, Liverpool and Everton's respective stadiums are literally down the road from each other.
Right. And the Premier League has done. I mean, they've done a lot to curb that kind of behavior, right? I mean, you get lifetime bans and all that stuff, but I just never understood the idea of getting into a fucking fight over sports. You know what I mean? Like, I would go to Eagles games, of course, and I'd be comfortably in the press box with my my press meal and watching everything but the game, and then you would see fights break out. And it's just like, what? Why are you? What? Like, you're going on a fucking Sunday. I know you're loaded up. I get that. But, man, I just don't understand the idea of now you're going to fucking throw each other down 9 flights of stairs. Because why? I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't get that at all. I guess it just starts with. Does this usually start?
It's tribalism, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. I guess it is. But I just never understood people who get into fights over your sports team. Just walk away. You'd be like, you're an asshole.
It's not a fight over the sports team, is it? It's just people who want to fight. The sports team is an excuse.
I guess.
I mean, I wonder if, Damon, we might see this spill over into the world of Japanese pro wrestling. Could you foresee, for example, January the 4th, the Noah firm and the New Japan firm going at it outside TGI Fridays?
Let me tell you something. I know I could take the fucking Noah fans.
Snooker ball in a sock, Stanley knives.
I've seen the Noah fans.
Leather glove full of pound coins. Leather glove full of 100 yen coins.
I got my keys all wrapped up in my fucking knuckles, ready to go. I'm beating on Claire. Actually, she'd probably kick my ass. Yeah, I mean, that's to me. It's just it probably is just people just looking for fights. But that's probably how I know of Millwall. Though they have the slogan, "No one likes us, we don't care." I think that's what they have too, right?
Yeah, maybe something we could adopt for the Super J-Cast.
Seriously, no joke.
Or New Japan Pro Wrestling. Wrestle Kingdom 15. No one likes us, we don't care.
That's going to be the name of this fucking show. Are you kidding me? That's when I got to do the label, that's what I'm doing. Yeah. All right. Well, look, I think Arsenal has Arsenal ever fallen out of the Premier League?
No.
Never.
We've been a mainstay since it was founded in 1992.
Give me a percentage of your feeling of them being relegated.
I'll give you 20% because I just think there's at least 3 teams. Well, probably 3 teams that I could definitely say are worse than us. West Brom and Fulham and Sheffield United. And our first match of the season we played against Fulham and beat them quite comprehensively, but who would have thought that would turn out to be a relegation 6-pointer? So I don't know. I'd be worried if Tony Khan pulls his finger out and starts actually spending money on them in January. Then we might be in trouble.
Yeah, you're fucked then. Yeah, you better hope for low houses and no vaccine for AEW staff or fans. No money, no revenue in. Well, we got good news. Their football team, their American football team, absolutely stinks. So they're not making any money there. I think they won one game.
Is that the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Okay. Yes.
Did I tell you? But when this was in 2013, when I was teaching in a primary school in the UK, it was a school near Wembley Stadium, and for some reason I guess they were playing an NFL game at Wembley Stadium around that time, because they came to the school and did a big assembly. They brought, I can't remember the name, the Jacksonville Jaguar, and they just did this like big hype thing in our assembly with the mascot coming in, Jacksonville Jaguars, and just whipping the kids up into a frenzy. It was really bizarre.
Wow! And players were there, yeah.
I can't remember.
He wouldn't have, yeah. Wow. That would be like Fulham coming to I don't know. I'll throw a school for the local peeps. Bishop Eustace. That'd be like, who's coming? They do that every year. Well, I don't know if they did it every year. They did multiple games, the NFL at Wembley. I think the Eagles were one year were there. All right, well there you go. Any predictions for being that your team is fallen by the way? So any predictions for the American football? Have you been keeping up fantasy football wise, or just in general?
I have not. I know nothing about it. Nothing about the product whatsoever, I'm afraid.
You're not a big Patrick Mahomes fan?
No, I know of him, but I couldn't tell you anything about him.
All right. Look, there's our NFL and sports talk. We'll take your calls after this. It's Joel and Damon on Sports Talk USA and wherever the fuck you are. All right. Can we talk pro wrestling soon? Now?
Yeah. I just want one little opener.
Yes.
To get our juices flowing. I want to do a little chat about a piece of merchandise that appeared today. Oh. Could you please open up your WhatsApp and tell me, have a look at this Ibushi t-shirt. Read the slogan on the front to us. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, he likes the white t-shirts. That's one thing I don't like, is a white t-shirt, because
Right, because you're going to spill food on it,
right,
aren't we?
100%. Yep, I get one wear out of it before it gets ruined. All right. It's very, very subtle. I wouldn't say it's too gaudy. The golden star logo. But then it has writing, and it kind of looks a little punk rockish in the sense of the font and the way that the characters are aligned. In English, I won't, is that run away, I won't lose, I won't give up, I won't betray you. Okay? Very, very basic t-shirt there.
Big Rickroll energy there. We're going to give you...
Oh, okay, that's what that is. Okay, right.
I mean, that is what it reminded me of the front. But okay, so you've seen the front of the t-shirt. It's on brand for Ibushi, the message he's given out. I want to show you now the back of the t-shirt.
Oh, I hope it's a big cock.
Because this t-shirt takes quite a turn.
All right. I hope it's like just 4 dicks. Let's see here. I will become God. Right.
I mean, is it just me, or is that quite the swerve? I won't run away, I won't lose, I won't give up, I won't betray you, I will become God. It turns very threatening at the end.
What is his fascination with that? Has that
He's
ever
a
been
lunatic, isn't he?
Well, yes. Aside
I'm scared now about him winning at Wrestle Kingdom 15. Like that, it could be some sort of Infinity Stone Thanos situation where if he gets the IWGP and Intercontinental titles, he might ascend to some sort of higher power and destroy us all.
I know. He holds the belt up, a giant beam comes down.
Clicks his fingers, half the audience at Tokyo Dome are vaporized. But actually, it wouldn't matter because half of them aren't allowed to enter anyway, so it'd be all right.
Might be a good idea. Can it pass through television wiring? Kevin Kelly running for his life. Speaking of Kevin Kelly, he got in touch with me and he was checking on me to make sure I was feeling well. I was like, thanks, Kev.
You see a lot of love from the commentary team. Chris Charlton checking in as well.
Yeah, I
nice
appreciate
to see that
that.
people are thinking about you.
It is nice. I mean, it is weird sometimes, but sometimes it's, you just kind of like, you appreciate it. And I did Cheryl's negative, just as an FYI. And then I did a test yesterday, and I'm waiting for those results. But symptom-free for quite a while now. So I feel like we dodged a bit of a bullet there, considering what it could have been. So, yeah, we're good there. Yeah, that's a weird, I don't know, that fascination he has with becoming a god. A little bit narcissistic, I think. I'm not going to lie. Not going to lie. We got one guy who wanted to be a god, and we got rid of him. Ha ha! A little election humor. Boy, I can't wait for that beef Wellington on Christmas. Joel, I got to be honest with you. That's where my mind is.
Thinking about it.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
And I'm not even having it, so I don't know why I'm drooling over your Christmas dinner.
I'm gonna send you some. I'm gonna mail it. I'm gonna freeze dry it and ship it over.
I've got to choose for my Christmas dinner, so maybe you can help me pick. So to start, it's either chicken liver and orange pate, farmhouse chutney, parmesan and toasted sourdough, Norwegian smoked salmon, whipped ricotta, horseradish cream and brown bread and butter, tenderloin carpaccio, wild rocket, pecorino and crispy artichokes, wild mushroom and shaved truffle soup, warm sourdough. So for me, it's got to be smoked salmon for that.
Me too. Yes,
yeah?
Yep, we're on the same page. Perfect. Good.
For mains, Christmas plate. So that's bronze turkey, honey glazed ham, pigs in blankets, sage and onion stuffing and roast gravy. Char grilled 300-gram ribeye steak, roasted portobello mushroom, truffle cream sauce and shaved truffles, oven roasted cod, saffron and seafood broth, white wine and garlicky aioli. Or mushroom ravioli, half moon parcels filled with ricotta cheese and wild mushrooms, porcini sauce and black truffles. Now, I know I said to you off air that I dislike turkey, but I feel like I have to choose the Christmas plate there.
I would have gone to ribeye, man. Ribeye.
Oh, it's tempting. I might get Mally to choose the ribeye and eat
pick
some
off of that.
first, because she won't finish that.
Yeah.
But the important thing is all mains are served with garlic roast potatoes, honey roasted carrots, parsnips and beets, cauliflower cheese, Brussels sprouts and bacon, sweet potato mash and gravy. So I think I'm basically guaranteed an excellent Christmas dinner there. And then dessert is Christmas pudding with brandy sauce, festive dark chocolate tart, honey ice cream, cherry compote, orange and hazelnuts. Indulgent Christmas sundae, layers of vanilla and cherry ice cream, caramelized oranges and honeycomb. Or black forest panna cotta, shaved chocolate, wild berry compote. And again, I'm not a huge fan of Christmas pudding, but I feel like I have to choose it because it's Christmas.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Christmas pudding either. I've had it like once or twice. It's okay. The sundae's too much. That'd be too rich. Like I would just be like, I'd eat a spoonful of it and be like, oh, I'm fucking done. But yeah, I might go Christmas pudding too. Just because when else are you gonna have? You're not gonna have Christmas pudding in fucking April, you know? Yeah, that's what I would do. That's a good fucking meal, dude. You're gonna do okay with that. And it's just you.
I will live tweet my experience of it. I'll put photos out on the Twitter.
I'm telling you,
live vicariously through my banquet Christmas.
I would be all over it. I'm cooking the beef Wellington. I got to get the fillets, the cut. I don't really know where I'm going to get that because we don't really have like solid butchers around here. And I know I'm going to be paying a fucking fortune for it. But yeah, I'm excited. I think I could pull it off. It doesn't look that hard. It just looks a little, there's steps. You got to make sure you're doing the steps properly. So, but I'm confident. I think we can do it. And if not, Chinese takeout.
Happy days. All right, let's talk about another little news thing that pops up. There's Tokyo Sports Awards. So MVP was given to Tetsuya Naito. Okada and Naito from Wrestle Kingdom won Match of the Year, which is Okada's 8th Match of the Year win in Tokyo Sports. Fighting Spirit Award went to Hiromu. The current GHC heavyweight champion Go Shiozaki won the Outstanding Performer of the Year award. DDT star Tetsuya Endo won the Technique Award. Julia from Stardom won the Women's Wrestling Grand Prize, while Takashi Sugiura and Kazushi Sakuraba won Tag Team of the Year. So I don't know if anything from that surprises you. I mean, it's an award that tends to, the MVP tends to go towards New Japan. It's like a political thing, isn't it? And all the other awards are sort of them throwing a bone to the other promotions. But it seems like they've sort of gone towards the Bushiroad and the Cyber Agent properties with this one. So anything surprise you there?
it always surprises me. You know, a lot of times it's like, how could you miss this or what, you know? And it is just like kind of what you described in the sense that everybody gets a little taste of something to make sure everybody's represented. Which, okay.
Dragon Gate and All Japan, they got nothing.
That's true. That is true. And they didn't have bad years, mind you.
I've heard people quite down on All Japan, but the people are very positive about Dragon Gate, which is why I mentioned the caveat about Cyber Agent, that the fact that they gave awards to. I mean, Noah's not surprised, but DDT, like Tetsuya Endo getting an awards over someone in Dragon Gate, that's raised a few eyebrows. Yeah,
I can see, but every year it's that with the Tokyo Sports Awards, and it feels like. Correct me if I'm wrong, and not that you would have the answer at the tip of your fingertips, but I felt like there were more awards given away in previous years, and I feel like these have been shaved down a little bit. But I could be dead wrong.
No, you're right. They didn't do the Best Newcomer award this year.
Okay, all right. That was. I mean, how impactful is that? We all know Great Okan's winning that, so. Yeah, I mean, who else? I mean, Tokyo Sports is going to kind of be the equivalent of, for lack of a better term, a fucking Pro Wrestling Illustrated type, you know, back in the day type award. Where maybe the most popular or the most well-known or the, you know, just the guy who has the most eyeballs is going to be the guy who's front and center is going to more than likely be the guy who's, you know, the MVP of the year. I don't see any issue with giving it to Naito. I mean, look, for us and our awards, I'm sure he's if he's not won, he's won. He's a real close two, and I honestly can't see him not winning. I really can't, even though Hiromu is there's a definite fucking argument to be made. I mean, he's the heavyweight champion for the entire year, minus Evil. I don't know. You know, he just lost my vote. Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to get crazy over the Tokyo Sports Awards, to be honest with you, because it is. It's like Pro Wrestling Illustrated. It's like, okay, does anybody? I mean, it's a thing, and people seem to get all heated up over it, but it's not really a thing to get too concerned with.
Yeah, I think if you're looking for a more unbiased approach, then I guess is it Shupro? They have awards where they sort of call it down the middle rather than being heavily favoured towards New Japan. Okay, well, let's get into the wrestling that took place. This was Friday, wasn't it? The World Tag League final. So the World Tag League final itself with Gorillas of Destiny beating Finjuice in 22 minutes 15 seconds. Tamatonga pinning Juice Robinson after the super powerbomb. So Gorillas of Destiny finally get their hands on the World Tag League trophy. What did you think, Damon? Am I having to do cartwheels for this?
Well, first, I mean, again, I was a little bit surprised seeing Kenta and his involvement in a match. No one clued us in on that one. So, and I know we spent the previous week talking about, you know, all the different possible U.S. title scenarios. I mean, I when you texted me to kind of get my feelings on to see if he was, you know, if you were doing a cartwheel, what number did I give you? I gave you 4, right? I gave you a solid 4.
Yeah. You gave me a 4. Now, I do have the scores from Joe Lanza and from Nicole Boozlep.
Oh, all right.
But I'm not going to reveal them to you because I think it's only... Should we wait until next weekend when we have the Wrestling Observer newsletter? Because we said Dave Meltzer's going to be the third judge, right?
Yeah.
And we won't get his score until Thursday. So maybe we'll put that one on ice for now to find out whether or not I have to do the cartwheels. But if you gave it 4 stars.
Yes.
So talk to us. What made you decide to give it 4 stars? Because you're quite high on it.
Well, I mean, I didn't think it was a terrible match. And look, put in in a big spot. God, I can't even say that they are 50-50, or they usually come through in a World Tag League. And I think Juice and I think David Finlay helped. I think they're a solid babyface tag team. A solid babyface tag team. The finish hurt. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that an interference. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, because I just don't want to be that guy. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that interference shaved off 5 stars and it made the match terrible, because it really didn't. I just really wasn't in the mood to see it there. And they went with the angle as opposed to the match, I think, is my biggest complaint. Like, the match at that point was really secondary. And I don't have a problem with that being the case if it's in the middle of a tournament or even in some ways a semifinal. But the finals really was like, oh. And so what does this mean? So does this mean that Kenta and Juice are now a program? And are we excited by that? It just felt a little bit flat for me. At the fact that they went for the angle and didn't go for somebody getting a big win, and then away we go to Wrestle Kingdom, where we now have a match between Dangerous Tekkers and God that, truth be told, aside from the fact that we have Suzuki-gun definitely playing babyface role now, my interest in this match, in this tag match, it's fucking dropped considerably. So we killed the match. Let me take that back. We didn't kill the match, but we pushed aside the match for the angle to have Kenta have something to do, what it feels like, and now we have a less desirable world tag match at Wrestle Kingdom. The match itself was okay. It was good. I thought it was a good match. But everything else and all the other shrapnel that has come from just this match has me hand-waving. And that sucks.
I agree with you, Damon. I think they've got a better match in them. And it was approaching, at times in the match, very good. But then the stuff that they did with Jado, I feel, sort of took the momentum out of the match. It's just as it was stepping into that next gear, then there'd be the stuff with Jado getting sent away and then him coming back with the kendo stick. I feel that sort of killed the momentum of the match. It didn't enhance the heat for me, and it was very similar to what they did in the G1 final last year with Jay White and Gedo, but less effective to me. And like you, I feel it's a shame that, exactly as you said, they sacrificed a quality World Tag League final, which is supposed to be one of the pinnacles of tag team wrestling. They sacrificed that in favour of doing the Kenta and Juice angle, which is a real shame, because I felt that final match was unworthy of what I thought was a very good tournament. And
yes,
you have a good tournament, you want to have a really good match as the icing on the cake, the cherry on top of that, and they didn't deliver it. And I always feel with Gorillas of Destiny there is that hard ceiling on the quality and the excitement of their matches, whether it's because of their quality as a tag team or wrestler or the shenanigans that go on. It just feels like 3.5, maybe pushing 3 3/4. That's as good as you're going to get, given all those caveats that we've mentioned. And I don't feel that this match exceeded that. It threatened to at times, but it never got there.
No. And again, I feel like I'm generous with 4. Don't get me wrong. And you're right. The one thing that kind of sticks in me is the fact that there was that interference, right? And I guess in my mind, I'm looking for, okay, the comeback and, Juice and Finlay being able to fight that off. Like when I saw that interference, it's kind of like, okay, they're going to get an even bigger win because something's going to go astray on the Bullet Club side. They'll fight back. They'll beat the odds, and away we go. That never happened. In fact,
I can see what they were trying to do. Like, it was a bit of misdirection that you're looking at Jado and then Kenta comes out of nowhere. And to be fair, like they got a big response from the crowd when that happened.
Me too.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I was shocked to see him, and I was like, whoa. But then the realization came in of, okay, why is he here? Why is he here now? I mean, aside from him being, in Bullet Club. It just felt, you know what it felt, Joel? It felt very shoehorned. It felt we're going to do something that probably doesn't make the most sense from what we've seen in the past storyline, just to squeeze Kenta on a show, and give him something to do because in 2 weeks we've got some pretty big shows around the corner. That's what it felt like. Like seeing him was here were my reactions. Oh fuck, it's Kenta. Oh shit, he interfered. Ah fuck, God won. Ah fuck. Now what? Ah fuck. That's really what it felt like. The realization of, wait, what? Oh. It's really the level of emotion that I went through.
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, it's just disappointing for me. And it didn't make me excited to see Kenta versus Juice, to see Juice get his revenge. It just made me feel sad for the World Tag League and sad for Finn Juice, particularly sad for David Finlay, who he's not booked on the Road 2 show, so I assume he's gone back home. And it would have been nice to see some sort of reward or a crowning moment for all the hard work he put in during this tournament, because I thought he'd been outstanding. But maybe he will get his flowers thrown at him in our end of year awards. We'll see about that, but certainly not the way I wanted the World Tag League final to go.
But they've done that for the past couple of years, doesn't it feel like? Where they'll do shit just to throw the World Tag League out the fucking window. Whether it's then one year they have like a 3-way, and it's just some convoluted mess that wound up being at Wrestle Kingdom.
It's been on off. So 2016 World Tag League final, Great Bash Heel beat Gorillas of Destiny in what I still think is to this day Gorillas of Destiny's best match. And then Yano and Ishii stole the title, so that ended up in a 3-way.
Right.
Then at the end of 2017, Evil Sonata won the World Tag League and had a really excellent straight 2-on-2 match at Wrestle Kingdom against Killer Elite Squads, which I loved that much. And then 2018 World Tag League, we had Evil and Sanada winning again, and then the Young Bucks popped out and inserted themselves into the match, which a lot of people, quite rightly, myself included, shat on. But then last year, they did it straight 2-on-2 again with Gorillas of Destiny against Finn Juice at Wrestle Kingdom. So it's sort of on-off. So if they follow that pattern, we are due another shenanigans 3-way. But with Finlay seemingly out of the country, maybe we are just going to get Gorillas of Destiny against Dangerous Tekkers, which will be an interesting one, given that both factions are nominally heels. But we've got some questions about that later, about the repositioning of Suzuki-gun and alignment charts and stuff like that. So we will come back to that one. But
right.
Unless you have anything more to say on the World Tag League, I shall move on to
just want your feelings. Yeah, I just want your feelings on, do you think you're doing cartwheels?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Very good. Confidence, I like that.
Which means, what are you doing? What's your punishment? But again, we'll come on to that. We'll have to wait for the rest of the Reserve newsletter, because it's not concluded yet.
Yeah, we haven't really figured that out. I mean, I could do I don't even think I could do a cartwheel. I think I will separate my shoulder if I attempt one.
Yeah. Well, listeners, maybe you can tweet us or Discord us with some suggestions on what our respective consequences could be. But shall we move on then to the Best of the Super Juniors final? Because I've got Quite a lot to say about this one, Damon. So we had Hiromu Takahashi pinning El Desperado after 30 minutes 14 seconds following the time on 2. Hiromu Takahashi wins Best of the Super Juniors 27. Now, to preface this, I want to say I had a really great chat with Liam from our Discord. So let me say again, Liam, get well soon for your bad ankle. I hope you're recovering well. So Liam is our resident El Desperado expert on the Discord. So a lot of this information that I'm going to talk about is from him. I want to give him a hat tip for allowing me to pick his brains today. So a lot of these words are his, but I want to give the full backstory on this feud and why I love this match so much. So this feud goes back 10 years ago. And these two guys, El Desperado, Hiromu Takahashi, there's a strong senpai-kohai relationship. So El Desperado, or to give him his proper name, Kyosuke Mikami, he was Hiromu's senpai in age and experience. So before Mikami went on excursion, he was 16, 2-1 against Hiromu. So early on, we set up that Hiromu has this, if you like, inferiority complex against Mikami. They were actually at one point going to be a junior tag team at the end of Mikami's run as a young lion. They tagged together in some significant spots. There was a dark opener at a Sumo Hall show and outside New Japan in DDT. Then Mikami gets kayfabe injured after a Wrestle Kingdom 6 dark match and disappears. And we get this mysterious Namahage character appearing in CMLL 2 days later. Then we fast forward to Wrestle Kingdom 8 in 2014, and El Desperado, this strange wrestler, appears. He debuts in New Japan. He's bringing flowers to Kota Ibushi, and he's supposedly a Mexican luchador whose father speaks Japanese. So Mikami has taken on this persona, this El Desperado persona, to account for his relative failure as a young lion, where he had quite a short tenure, and his failure on excursion. He lost his mask, and he lost a hair match, didn't really win much of note. Hiromu, for his part, he got his ass kicked as a young lion. He left for excursion exactly as El Desperado appeared. And these two didn't see each other for 5 years since the last time they met. But since Hiromu returns in late 2016, he was way more successful than Desperado, and they were kept apart for nearly 2 years. And not for nothing, as we will get into. So come the summer of 2018, given their history in the dojo, Best of the Super Juniors rolls around, Hiromu is desperate to show the world that it's Kyosuke Mikami underneath the El Desperado mask. He's not a Mexican luchador, he's a fraud. And before their Best of the Super Juniors match, Hiromu writes, the giant book that Hiromu does, he writes in that book for the El Desperado page, I know who you are, and I hate you. And Despi wins again. There's a rematch for the junior heavyweight title at Kizuna Road, and there's loads of mind games going into that match. So Hiromu brings Desperado flowers, and it's a callback to Desperado's, him bringing flowers on his return in 2014 at Wrestle Kingdom. And you'll remember this, Damon, a really memorable spot late into the match where Hiromu pulls off El Desperado's mask, Desperado just no-sells it and waffles Hiromu in the face with the junior title belt before casually putting his mask back on. Yep. So here, in that match, we had Hiromu trying to expose Desperado for who he is, and then Desperado caring more about beating up Hiromu, winning the junior title, which would have been his first singles title in New Japan. He's still hunting for that. More concerned with that than concealing his identity. And then there's also the LGBT coding of the story, which, as you know, Damon, I'm always a fan of. And a lot of this is dependent on your personal coding of El Desperado and Hiromu Takahashi. And I agree with what Liam said, that they both read quite strongly, I think, as LGBT in some way. From Hiromu's love-hate relationship with Dragon Lee to El Desperado, debuting by giving flowers to Kota Ibushi, and Desperado constantly telling Hiromu that he loves him, and then he hates him, and then he loves him again. And then Hiromu goes from saying, I know who you are and I hate you, to I don't care about you at all, to actually I really do hate you. And David, when someone's in your head and making you feel those kind of emotions towards them, whether it's positive emotions, negative emotions, they hold a certain amount of power over you. And Hiromu saying, I don't care about you, is intended on his behalf as a sign of strength or defiance. And on El Desperado side, we've all been there, Damon. We've had people say to us that they don't care about us. And, maybe it was true, maybe it was intended to hurt us. And it does hurt when you hear that. And it's then no coincidence that when you come to this Best of the Super Juniors and their block match, Desperado forces Hiromu to submit to him rather than pinning him in their block match. The pin's not enough for him anymore. So you see those power dynamics coming to play there. And then you've got all this love and hate bubbling under the surface that's brought into this match, the Best of the Super Juniors final, and the match, it starts off like the dojo day. So Desperado's in charge, he's working Hiromu's back, and then he's controlling his leg. Of course, those are the two body parts affected by his submission move, Numero Dos, which he won with in the block match. So it worked before, and Desperado's totally in control of the match. And also, yet again, for me, showing why he's one of the best in the business of being in control of a match, but making it tremendously entertaining to watch. Hiromu's selling was just as good, both selling the back and the leg. El Desperado takes off a turnbuckle pad very early on, which is a real Chekhov's gun, because that they don't come back to that until much later. So throughout the first half of the match, he's punishing Hiromu. And Hiromu can only get back into the match with the wild offense that he developed in Mexico. You know, the Poison Rana attempt off the ropes, the wheelbarrow to the floor, John Woo drop kick to the guardrail. And in a way, I felt that the dynamics of their match reflect their relationship with Hiromu is the mercurial, unpredictable spirit with a wild streak against Desperado's desire for control and dominance. And, you know, dare say perhaps that's a manifestation of El Desperado's desire for relationship security. And there's an incredible moment where Hiromu goes for the sunset flip powerbomb off the apron and just splats right onto the floor, and then he just pops back up. He no-sells it completely. He's trying to drag Desperado off the apron, but Despi just kicks him back into the guardrail. I don't know if that was a botch or if it was planned, but it was just an amazing sequence that encapsulated the chaos and the violence and the dissonance of the relationship between these two men. And even the way that Desperado attempted a pin after doing Guitarra de Angel, he held Hiromu's hands, placed them almost lovingly across his chest, and then when Hiromu kicks out, Despi goes nasty, flips back into the Numero Dos like a punishment for Hiromu rejecting him. Then Despi lifts up Hiromu, and it looked to me like he was about to do the dreaded Phoenix Plex that broke Hiromu's neck when he wrestled against Dragon Lee, but then Hiromu reversed it into a destroyer. Absolutely spectacular stuff. Then we got a ref bump and a dick punch, which automatically adds an extra half star to the match. And then just when you think Despi's about to finish him off after that, Hiromu punches Despi right in the jaw, a la Jun Kasai, who dislocated Despi's jaw last year. Then Hiromu goes for the mask. So this is either Hiromu being smart, using mind games to win the match because he knows Despi's going to lose his cool, or, as I would like to believe, it's Hiromu bringing the two of them back to their roots, to having them share that connection that they've had for a decade in front of what is now the biggest audience they've ever had. Literally face to face. No hiding behind masks or personas. So Hiromu tears off half the mask, and then Despi's on his knees. He's glaring up at Hiromu, and he stands up. He takes off his mask. The crowd loses their shit. Clapping only rules be damned, and this is why I'm saying if the match is good enough, people are going to react regardless. The mask comes off. Hiromu is looking for Kyosuke Mikami, but he's not there anymore. It's still El fucking Desperado staring back at him. That little smile, the wag of the finger, the look that says, "You asked for this, motherfucker."
Here we go.
And then a brutal exchange, like a hockey fight. They're unleashing all their frustrations on each other. Despi comes agonizingly close. He's so close with a El Escalero. Hiromu kicks out the last millisecond, and that scream of anguish and frustration from Despi. He's pounding the mat in agony. Like, he knows that was his best shot, and he missed. And this is not, pulling a stupid, surprised O-face at the hard camera like, wow, I can't believe he kicked out. This is a decade of pain from a man who wants nothing more than to beat his opponent more than anything else on the fucking planet. And even though this match isn't over yet, he knows that he's just lost. And just the way he was rolling around, screaming in rage, it was just magnificent. And he goes for the Pinche Loco. It's the only move he's got left. Hiromu reverses it, and it drives Despi straight into that exposed turnbuckle that you forgot about because it only happened 3 minutes into the match.
Right.
Despi's broken. He's physically, psychologically, emotionally broken. Hiromu hits the time bomb too for the win. And that brings us to the post-match. Despi says, only Hiromu Takahashi and El Desperado were in that ring tonight. So we've learned that for now at least, Kyosuke Mikami is no longer there. El Desperado is a persona that's not necessarily a mask for Mikami to hide behind, but that's who he really is now. In as much as, we are all a product of our experiences and our choices, which shape us and change us. And Hiromu himself, he talked about their relationship, that he was thrilled to face him. He wants them to fight forever. Sometimes he says he likes him. Sometimes he says he hates him. His heart's all over the place. Their bond is very fragile. It's a piece of art made from glass that can easily shatter. But he's close to liking him now. Despy is back to wrestling under the mask, according to photos that I saw today on Twitter from today's show. So for now, the guy under that mask is just as much El Desperado when he takes it off. And although he might be booked like a mid-card junior, it's what makes Despy such an interesting and compelling character for me. He's a cool-looking dude in a skeleton mask who does the splits. He punches people in the dick. But he is also a person who expresses his self-doubt and his affection and emotions and his unrequited love. So, Damon, you can see why this match is extremely my kind of shit. It ticks every single Joel box. You've got a big stage, high stakes, long backstory, that perfect blend of storytelling where the kayfabe is just used as a subtle tool to tease out the real-life story and magnifying. We got great wrestling and a truly unforgettable moment at the climax. And there's something incredibly satisfying about a dojo feud making it to one of the biggest matches in the company. And obviously it doesn't happen very often. Like, the odds of a pair of young lions in the same dojo class going on to become successful, high-profile wrestlers who are good enough to headline a big show are pretty damn low. So when it does happen, you have all that organic backstory, literally a decade of honest-to-God history between the wrestlers that plays into the match, amazing chemistry in the ring, out of the ring, the planets align, and you get these incredible moments of character growth in the climax of the match, like Naito hitting the Stardust Press against Okada back in January, or El Desperado taking his mask off. And you can't force that. You can't manufacture it. You can't rush it. And there are other companies who think that they're good at creating moments, but for my money, for giving wrestlers a platform to tell their stories and share their art and move me and make me feel something real, there is no company quite like New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Outstanding. Outstanding job by you. There's a lot of credit to go around here. You nailed it. Better than I could ever say.
And Liam as well. I've got to give credit to Liam because a lot of that came from him.
And Liam as well. And there has to be a large bit of credit for people with the mindset like yourself, like Liam, and others who can capture all of that information and all that backstory and remember that and remember that and remember that. New Japan deserves the credit to be able, just like you closed out, to give the artists the canvas to paint and say, go, right? I can't imagine there are a bunch of old men in a conference room sitting around saying, hey, just like yourself or just like, Liam, remember this, remember that. I doubt that's the case. I doubt this rests solely on Hiromu, Despy, working this out, and maybe little sprinkles here and there. But by and large, these are two creative forces that have used a backstory and weaved it into what we saw in that match, which, again, is organic and full of emotion and full of pro wrestling. It's the best of pro wrestling. It's the thing that you're excited to tell your friend who kind of knows pro wrestling but really doesn't really know pro wrestling. This is your bait that you've hooked to your line, right? This is the reason why a whole bunch of people are fans of this product. You can parachute in on New Japan Pro Wrestling and watch the big matches and watch the big shows and get just a ton of enjoyment from that, if that's the way that you want to consume this product. But if you want to dig deep and you want to go just fucking dive headfirst into the deep end of the pool, there is so much to keep you satisfied and so much space that these artists are able to tell their story that you, like a good book, like a good movie, like a good TV show, like any really great, true performance art, you're going to feel something inside And that's what this did. And, this is not a lot was made that this is, a main event, and this is Hiromu and Despy in a main event spot for juniors, and in the company's history that hasn't happened a lot. And Chris Charlton was rattling off names like Liger and Tiger Mask and people who, haven't had that happen for them. And those are big names, and these two guys are making it happen. So there's history involved from just the promotion standpoint. And, of course, this huge, well-weaved backstory. And I think people, first of all, I think people loved this match. I think this match, let me start here. I'm pretty confident in this. And I do recognize recency bias. This is my match of the year. This is my match of the year. Because of everything that was weaved into what led us here. And it wasn't my match of the year before remembering and learning and reading and seeing these things that have led to where this match is. This is mastercraft storytelling, Joel. Okay, all that aside, all that backstory aside, all that years of history, all that the wrestlers were able to remember, all that they were allowed to then use as a backstory to get to the actual match, to have the company say, okay, this is our finals. Great. Now we're in the ring, and they have a great match to boot. Everything aligned. Everything's in order for pro wrestling greatness. So this became my match of the year. Not only from bell to bell, which I thought was, okay, it's either this one or it's, Will and Shingo. How about me remembering? But then the backstory, and it, but you now you're really getting deeper and deeper into it. It kind of blows you away. The fact that they were able to pull this off, truth be told. And it's organic. And none of it seemed like you were shoehorning it in and you were forcing it down our throats. And let me tell you something. Pro wrestling companies and pro wrestling promoters and bookers and story writers and all that stuff, they have wet dreams over shit like this. And you can't pull this off. You can't write this in a book and say, okay, do this, guys. You can't have this map over 4 weeks of television. It's not the same. This is peak pro wrestling. For not only a person that's going to parachute in on a great match, but also people who are there for the long ride and get the little breadcrumbs in a company that, let's be truthful, is the best at doing it. Why? Because they mostly allow the wrestlers to do it and let them be artists. And that is why this is my favorite match of the year.
And to be fair, I think probably a lot of the stuff that Liam and I discussed is us projecting that onto what we saw, but that's part of the beauty of it, to bring up like Roland Barthes and Death of the Author, that there is that space for you to have your own interpretation of the way things appeared in the match. Like when El Desperado took off the mask, was that Kyosuke Mikami or was it only El Desperado? No one knows, isn't it? Right. Unlikely to tell us, but just the fact that you can have your own interpretation of things is, I think, something worth celebrating as well. That's
great music, what you just described. That's a great album where you listen to these songs and you feel something. I think it was Trent Reznor who says, when I write something, it's gone, it's released, it's out of my hands, and you absorb it how you feel. You absorb it. That's art to me, and if you, and again, I don't think this is too far fetched, but Pro wrestling is art. And it's an art form that you can incorporate so many different mediums into that particular art form. And you yes, it's not that hard to say, oh, he hit him right in the fucking face. Okay. Yes, he chopped the shit out of him. Yep. Oh, that was a hell of a suplex. But then when you get the best, but if that's the case, I mean, you could watch amateur wrestling and get that same feel, I think, in certain cases, or MMA. It's the pro wrestling that makes you a pro wrestling fan. That makes you want more from just a suplex or just a fucking fantastic move, right? I mean, how many matches have you seen in your lifetime, Joel, where, wow, the matches were great, but there really wasn't anything to sink your teeth into? You know what I mean? The moves were fucking unbelievable. But you're kind of like, okay, that was the moves with the Z, right?
Like this Noah match, and this is not me criticizing that, the Go Shiozaki against Takashi Sugiura match, which I watched, and maybe a long-term diehard Noah fan might enjoy that match the same way that I have enjoyed Hiromu versus El Desperado. But me, as a casual fan, parachuting in and watching that match, I'm appreciating it aesthetically. The physicality, the technique, the way the match is laid out. But the emotional connection for me isn't there.
Right. And that's exactly how I felt about that particular match. And I texted you that, yeah, I mean, this was a fucking brutal match in the sense of the chops and the fucking, they beat the shit out of each other for 40 minutes, maybe even longer. But I feel like I missed something in the sense of I'm not there emotionally. I'm not there. I'm there emotionally in the match in the sense of, again, I can appreciate two motherfuckers beating the shit out of each other. Absolutely. But to say that I knew the backstory, or if I had that emotional investment that maybe a hardcore Noah fan might have, and knows the backstory that led to where they're going with that match. And again, it's not that hard for people to do. I just got to admit that I haven't. It's not going to connect with me as hard as maybe this match. I love this match, man. I mean, I know I feel like I'm gushing over it, but I really loved this match for all the reasons that you mentioned. And again, I loved it more the more I learned about it. It's like, again, like reading a good book or seeing a movie and then having somebody point out other little small details about a match that make it even more awesome. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the best I can say. It was awesome on the surface, and the deeper you dived into it and the deeper you went down that rabbit hole, the more enjoyment you got from it. So that's classic pro wrestling. That's classic pro wrestling. I can't. My favorite match of the year. And the more I learn about it, and the more information I get about it, and the more little details I get about it, the more I enjoy it. So, yeah, I think this is one of those matches where you could show a friend who's not maybe the biggest pro wrestling fan, have them watch the match, and then you can kind of feed them, drip them, why this happened. And I think you're gonna have a fan for life. And unfortunately, they'll be disappointed because not all pro wrestling is that.
So you don't think they should have been cutting promos on each other in the middle of the match? I hate you. I want to expose you for being...
There was nobody looking at their hands. I go, what's happening? Why weren't you looking at your hands?
I'll tell you what, though. Kevin Kelly did an outstanding job. Because I watched it in English commentary and Japanese commentary afterwards. Kevin Kelly did a wonderful job putting over El Desperado in defeat and making him feel like what I think was a star-making performance, even though he lost.
Yeah, I told him that. I actually texted him that. I said it was one of your best moments in New Japan. That post match, after the pinfall.
Yep,
I said you did, during the match, outstanding. But like I think one of your shining moments for your entire career was that post. So yeah, I think. Look, when it all aligns, and here's the thing too. If we're talking about commentating, he's in his house watching it on a fucking monitor. He's not in the building. And trust me, there's not an announcer, any sport, that is going to sit there and tell you that being in the building doesn't help them make a better call. And being away from the action makes it a little bit more difficult. Now, again, there's not a broadcaster that I know that hasn't called the game into their recording device for practice, right? They all do it. They all probably still do it. But still, to have that kind of to be able to connect dots and give you the emotion of the moment in such a way. Again, he's in his fucking office at home, thousands of miles away. He deserves some credit on that one. He did an outstanding job.
Today's episode is brought to you by Clorox. When it counts, trust Clorox the same way we trust essential workers to provide the care they give to us. Families trust Clorox to give them a safe and protected home.
Our community heroes trust Clorox to keep places like hospitals and grocery stores disinfected. So I know I too can trust Clorox to provide my home with a safe environment at home we can all enjoy. So I have a story for you, Amanda. With Clorox, there's one thing I definitely use it for every single time before I step into my vanity van. I love the entire place disinfected because that's where I keep my makeup. That's where I get ready. That's where my clothes are. That's sometimes where I take a nap as well. So, I can use it all over like time of need. So, it's been really, really, it just keeps everything super clean and I feel super safe.
For me, it's important to share with loved ones and the public in general how they can give the most care for their loved ones, especially during times like these. I mean, with the pandemic going on, with COVID going on, it's just great to be extra sanitary with all the items that are around you, caring for others, and, just wiping down the door handle after you use the bathroom or wiping down
so important.
The toilet handle. Don't forget the toilet handle. So remember, when it counts, trust Clorox.
Donato's just didn't add bacon to their pizzas. They added bacon to their bacon. It's Donato's new Bacon Duo pizzas. 2 pizzas, each with 2 kinds of bacon. Try the new Pepperoni Bacon Duo with pepperoni, Canadian bacon, and hardwood smoked bacon. And the Chipotle Bacon Duo with Canadian bacon and Chipotle seasoned bacon. Now get $2 off a large Bacon Duo or any large pizza. Use promo code 2. Donato's. Every piece is important.
So we've got a few questions about this match. Brandy said, where would you rank this year's Best of the Super Juniors final historically? It's the best one I've seen since I started watching, but that's only the past 5 years or so. I love several older finals, but none had near the emotional impact for me as this one did. Yeah, I agree, Brandy, because I'm just thinking back to like 2017, it was Ospreay versus Kushida. 2018, a brilliant Hiromu against Ishimori match. Last year's Shingo versus Ospreay match. All matches that I think were maybe more spectacular, more athletic, more thrilling in terms of the moves taking place inside the ring, but none of them hit me on that emotional level that this match did. So this year's is my favourite.
Yeah, it's, again, it incorporates everything that is great about pro wrestling. But it's a hard question, and it really depends on what kind of mood I'm in. But I think it's an instant classic. I really do. I think it's an instant classic. And there is something to be said. I am a huge fan of a masked wrestler having the aesthetic of having a half-ripped mask on someone's face. I don't know what it is. I've seen, New Japan, they're not afraid of it. They've done it in the past with El Samurai. They've done it in the past with Liger. I just love the fucking feel of that. There's something that triggers inside of me that's like, oh, here we go. This is fucking great. And that might just be from that one Naoki Sano Liger match where that happened. That was a great moment, man. It was a great fucking moment. It's up there. I mean, I hate to let this match just override me and just push everything else aside. It really would depend on my mood and what I wanted to watch, but Christ, it's up there. It is up there at the top, and that's saying something because those finals of matches, you're rarely left disappointed. This had everything. This had everything. Oof. And let's give a tip of the cap to that crowd. Who did that feel like a release? Did that feel like a? I mean, they had that. I feel terrible for those crowds having there have been moments, I'm sure, where they kind of wanted to gasp or yell or what have you. For Hiromu and El Desperado to get that emotion from a crowd who in their mind, trust me, are thinking, all right, we can't yell, you can't yell, we can clap, we can't yell. Oh, I gotta yell. I gotta yell. Right? That's amazing to have them lose it lose it. That's the sense. They lost their composure for that pro wrestling match. Fucking great. Damn. Great job.
Louis says, should Despy ditch the mask? I personally wouldn't want him to. Make the unmaskings a rare Kishin Liger type thing. Yeah, I agree with that. I think having it as a Kishin Liger sort of scenario would be quite effective.
Yeah, keep the mask. You know what? I wanted to keep the mask. And I would prefer just let's move on from this match. And it doesn't need to be a thing because we don't want to cheapen that moment. Keep the mask. The mask is important. The mask is El Desperado. And I don't want to dilute the moment. Keep it the same.
Ico Rule says, does Hiromu move up to heavyweight to become a bigger star, or does the junior division end up getting more focus in 2021 due to Hiromu's emergence as one of their top guys?
It already has it.
Yeah, I think he has done what he said he wanted to do and elevate the division. It's not surpassing the heavyweight title at the moment. Probably won't happen in the future, but who knows? But I just think Hiromu is such a transcendental star that I would keep him in the junior division. I don't know, it's a tricky one because he could just be an absolute megastar if you strap the rocket to him and have him win that IWGP heavyweight title at some point. But he's just so valuable to the junior division that wherever you put him, he's going to be a star.
For the first time, you have someone who can rival Liger as being a guy and even exceed Liger. Like, you could keep him as a junior and you could build a promotion around him. You know how they wanted to treat the Intercontinental title? Like, you could do that with the junior title, it feels like. Like, he's legitimately a star of that company. Like, when we talk about that Mount Rushmore, like, you could chisel Hiromu's face in that fucking stone. You're headlining shows with him. You're headlining big shows with him. You mean to tell me you couldn't headline a dome show with him? I really feel like you could. I feel like right now, and even not even right now, but the build even to right now. I mean, who are the guys that are bigger than Hiromu right now? Naito? Let's put it this way. Is Kota Ibushi right now bigger than Hiromu?
No.
Is Jay White bigger than Hiromu?
No, I think, just to cut to the heart of it, Naito, Tanahashi,
Okada?
Okada, I don't...
Okada's got to be...
Yeah, okay, I'll give you Okada.
Not Evil.
No, that's it. It's those three.
Yeah. He's on your Rushmore. I mean, name me a guy that was a junior that you would say that about. The only guy I can think of is Liger. And think of what Liger meant to the company. I don't know. I think you got yourself a guy who can. I don't think you need to. Like, he's the guy you don't need to make a heavyweight. You know how they talk about guys who you don't need him to give him a belt. He's already star. Blah, 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 blah. You don't need to make him a heavyweight. He's already on your Mount Rushmore. How about that? How about that?
I agree. All right, next question. Matthew says, top 3 matches from this year's Best of the Super Juniors. I'm sure number 1's Despi Hiromu, deservedly so. So, yeah, that's number 1. Right. I would have Hiromu against Taguchi as my number 2. And then my number 3 is very close between Hiromu, Robbie Eagles, and Hiromu versus Doki. I'm going to go Hiromu versus Eagles because I thought that was just a real coming out party for Robbie Eagles. So, Hiromu Despi, Hiromu Taguchi, and Hiromu Eagles.
Hiromu Eagles is my second. What my third? There's a lot of good matches thrown in there. But I'm going I mean, I could give you definitive 1, Hiromu Despi, 2, Hiromu Eagles. Who, you know what? There is some sad news, unfortunately. He wrestled this whole entire tournament. I'm talking about Robbie Eagles. With a heavy weight on his shoulders. You know, his father was in poor health and in the Philippines, and there was a GoFundMe that was out there, and I don't know. If I donated to every GoFundMe, I'd be a poor man. But there was something that compelled me about this. I don't know why there was such a, I felt it. So, you contribute to the GoFundMe because of the medical bills that were mounting. And he passed away. From what I understand. So, I'm heartbroken from hearing that news because I know what it's like to lose a father. And again, to be able to wrestle at that high performance, it's almost as if Robbie was kind of like, I don't want to say doing it for him, but doing it to, I don't know, he found an extra level, if that's the thing. So my heart goes out to Robbie and his family, and sorry to bring the podcast down, but I did want to mention that I know Joel saw the news and myself, and our hearts are with you, Robbie Eagles, and stay strong, my man.
Yeah, absolutely. Best wishes to Robbie and the family. Please do contribute to the GoFundMe because it is still needed and appreciated.
Yep.
Okay, let's talk about Despi then. Eric says, we've already got 3 juniors in 2 singles matches at Wrestle Kingdom, but a generic tag match feels like a step back. How do you keep Despi's momentum going? Never 6-man with Minoru and Kanemaru? So it's a strange one because he's not young. I mean, he's 37 years old at the end of this year, but he also started his career relatively late at the age of 26. J Cafe says, is Despi the strongest contender to win the next Best of the Super Juniors? So, to be fair, right, Despi has been booked like a mid-card junior, even though he feels to me like a star, and he is a star in Japan. You know, the fans love him. He's incredibly over. But in terms of actual singles programs that he's gotten and pushes and success and titles and tournament wins, the resume's not there. So what do you think you do with El Desperado now to capitalize on that?
Here's the problem, is that you have a lot of great pro wrestlers. And again, we talked about the whole backstory and all the stuff that led in and all the things that helped make this match great. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have a story to tell that in a similar vein and have given that opportunity. There could be some compelling things there too. And that's what makes it somewhat difficult for New Japan, is that not everyone could be in the hot frying pan at the exact same time. It's impossible to do. You would love to keep the momentum going, but how do you do that without beating it to death? That's the last thing you want to do is have people be bored of it, right? And say, oh, this match again? I mean, what's the status of Kanemaru? I hate to stick him back in the junior tag division, but he was an anchor there. But I mean, does anybody know the status of his injury and how likely he is to return? I think Suzuki-gun right now is in a bit of flux.
Sorry, did you say Kanemaru?
Yeah.
He's back on the Road 2 tour, so I assume he's fine.
Great. Okay, good. There you go. Fantastic. Then, I mean, I look, they are an anchor in that junior tag division. I have no problem with him being there and having success there and holding that down there. I mean, it wouldn't be too hard to warm him back up. And I think, here's the thing, I don't think anybody would complain about a rematch either. And I don't think anybody would complain about giving him the title, if need be, for a cup of coffee. So I think there's still plenty more you can do with him, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be your top guy and coming off this match.
Someone in the Discord has just posted something interesting. Pumpkin is an excerpt from an interview right after the show that someone translated, which I assume is an accurate translation, could be wrong. So this is from Hiromu, who says, "It's always difficult to remember what I was thinking during a match, but rage? Matches are fueled by feelings of anger, so I must have wanted to expose his real nature, his everything. I think you just attacked a vital point. I think that's what angered me. Why are you using these tactics when you're already awesome without them? So I punched him. I don't really remember, but next thing I knew, I was tearing away his mask and his face was showing. From that point on, it wasn't rage. There was nostalgia mixed in. It became super fun, enjoyable, going all out. It felt good." So there you are, a little bit of extra insight into that piece of art we saw. Sentient Amanita says, "Also, what is New Japan's allergy for booking non-title junior feuds? Despy put on a career performance, match of the year candidate, and a month later is going to watch Kanemaru get pinned by Watto in an 8-minute tag opener, to say nothing of Eagles Show, who are best case getting multi-man tag to hell." So yeah, I think if I'm going to give a next step to New Japan, it would be to book some non-title singles feuds, because the wrestlers, I'm sure, have got plenty of creative ideas. So it'd be good, on these big shows or even on the B shows, have a little singles junior match that isn't for the title, so we can build up and showcase these stories. Don't just leave it until Best of the Super Juniors.
I would love that. I would love that for every division, to be truthful. Wouldn't it be great to have a tag, just a regular old tag match, no titles involved, for a number one contenders match, or for any of the titles, or storylines that involve something other than the title, singles matches? I mean, I know we're getting one with Okada and Ospreay, but you know what I mean. I mean, the undercard can be filled out pretty nicely if they just gave those guys singles matches. I would agree, 100%.
All right, let's move on to the Super J Cup then, which was won by El Phantasmo. Nearly said El Desperado there. So on his way to the final, he beat Lio Rush in the first round. He beat Blake Christian in the semi-final, and then he beat ACH in the final. So nearly perfect with the way we called it last week. We knew this was going to happen, and we knew that this show was going to be basically, hey, remember El Phantasmo? Just a way to heat him back up before he flies back to Japan and appears at Wrestle Kingdom. But I couldn't help but feel really disappointed, because I was sitting there watching that Lio Rush match. I was getting excited by Lio Rush. I was thinking, Lio Rush versus Hiromu at the Tokyo Dome, that'd be fucking great. And then we got the dick punch and the CR2, and then El Phantasmo wins, and it was exactly what we expected was going to happen. But I was still pretty bummed out after that happened. After Lio Rush lost, I felt like I didn't want to watch the show anymore, because I knew what was going to happen. And to be fair to El Phantasmo, he mixed it up a bit. He pinned Blake Christian clean with super kick, which is what I like to see. You don't need to go to that bag of tricks for every single match, and it was played out a little bit differently in the final with ACH as well. But I wasn't blown away by everything. It was a lot of El Phantasmo to consume in an empty arena show. It was 40 minutes of ELP, 3 matches of his, and I don't hate him as much as a lot of other people do. I don't love him. I think he's a perfectly good wrestler. He's capable of having really good matches. I think he's had great matches with Ospreay. He had a great match with Rocky Romero, but it was just something about the way this show played out which was it just rubbed me the wrong way and left me in a bit of a bad mood.
Well, we don't want that to happen. That's for sure when we watch a show. Yeah, I mean, look, I think people get, dirty heel American, Canadian, Bullet Club member.
And the funny thing is, Damon, sorry to interrupt, but it seems like from the Japanese fans that I've talked to, like Manabu, like Kunisaito, that the Japanese fans are really into that. They like El Desperado, El Phantasmo's shenanigans. So there was some funny stuff, like, you know, him doing the music rights gimmick. I thought that was really funny, and him, you know, messing about with a jacket, and I liked his look. He had this sort of scuzzy lockdown, you know, didn't have time to shave or cut his hair, just looking really grimy and stinky. I liked all of that, and I think he is an effective heel, but this is not just me. I mean, Elliot says, do you have any insider info whether or not Alex Kozlov finds El Phantasmo despicable? And Daniel says, as much as I enjoyed the wrestling in the Super J Cup, I'm disappointed with the booking. I feel like we need something more fresh than a cheating Bullet Club heel. And when Leo Rush lost, I died a little inside. Here's hoping this isn't a one-off and we get these guys in Japan in 2020. And yeah, I said on Twitter, actually, we've had 10 tournaments since the restart. 4 of them have been won by cheating Bullet Club heels. So we had Evil winning a Super J Cup. We had Kenta winning the New Japan Cup. We had Kenta winning the New Japan Cup USA. We had Gorillas of Destiny winning the World Tag League. We've got El Phantasmo winning the Super J Cup. And we've also got Jay White with the G1 briefcase. And that just feels it's erring on the side of excessive for me.
Right. Yeah, no, I can see that. I will say this, that they were put in a tough spot in that, you know, we're trying to have a Super J Cup. We're trying to bring in interesting juniors, and you know, it's not like they grow on trees. You know, that could compete at a level that New Japan's looking for. And then add to that, you're in an empty warehouse and you're having a tournament with people that, you know, I would say some of the audience isn't very familiar with. Some you know that they are, and they had to make it work. It's a tough spot that they were in, and they did this so that El Phantasmo could get over to fucking Tokyo. I mean, right now, I can't imagine New Japan being quick to sign anybody, just given the current state of pro wrestling. In this year, maybe, or 2021, maybe, but you have to think that just from a pure finance standpoint, might be very difficult to do. Okay, so let's just say that Leo Rush, for some fluky thing, wins, or ACH wins. Okay, now you're flying in, ACH in, and Leo Rush in. And I hate to say it, but you don't know where this virus is going to take you. And the headaches that could happen. I mean, you could say the same thing for El Phantasmo, but I think like once you get El Phantasmo in Japan, he's going to be there for a little bit. Look, there are parts of this where it felt like we're just trying to get from point A to point B, and it almost felt unnecessary to have this tournament. And why not just have the match that you want to have with El Phantasmo and Hiromu? I guess having him win this tournament gives it a little bit more strength and a little bit more oomph. But watching this tournament, I was like, okay. Here's the thing. It didn't feel like must watch. It didn't feel like it was something that if I didn't watch this, New Japan was going to crumble before me and I'll be lost. I think everyone knew El Phantasmo was winning, and everyone knew this is where we were going. And even you, the previous, last week or the week before, were like, hey, Super J Cup winner, challenge, we got 2 nights, right? Well, it's kind of where we went. And I don't know if that excites me. I'm going to be truthful. Does Hiromu El Phantasmo warm the cockles of your cockles? Doesn't for me.
Yeah, we've got a question from Renegade Dugongs, he says, is getting to see an extra Hiromu match worth the price of having to see an El Phantasmo match. So, so it is as we predicted. It's going to be Hiromu against El Phantasmo on January 4th, and then the winner on January 5th will face Ishimori for the junior title. I think Hiromu versus El Phantasmo will be really good. Because,
really good?
Yeah, I mean, Hiromu's just great with everyone. You know, name me someone Hiromu's had a bad match with. So on that stage, I'm sure it will be brilliant. Well, brilliant maybe, very good. Because we've seen with El Phantasmo, with the right opponent, that he can have very entertaining matches. So I've got no worries about the quality of the match. Have you got any reservations about the booking and more instances of kind of crowbarring in like sort of mini tournament scenarios to fill up this double dome show?
That's really my biggest concern, is that we're just trying to fill up fucking 2 nights. I mean, right now, we don't even have a full show for both nights, right? We don't have a full show for both nights. We have first night that's pretty full, but second night is not full. I mean, obviously, a lot of it is contingent on who wins first night. But, looking at that lineup, if we want to transition into Wrestle Kingdom talk, we can. Boy, show me the sexy match that everyone's hyped for.
Could we come on to that? I do have that
yes, we can.
Our list of things we'll come up to, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
One other thing I wanted to bring up from Super J Cup was we saw Ren Narita making his, I say, comeback. I mean, I don't know if he's been having untelevised matches. I would assume so. But I was impressed by the other young lion from the LA Dojo, Kevin Knight, who I thought looked really exciting there. So I'll be watching him very closely. Did anyone else from this show impress you, either from the tournament or the tag matches?
Ren Narita, obviously. Kevin Knight, when I first heard the name, that reminded me of an old East Coast indie wrestler. We wrestled many times, Kevin Knight. I was like, it can't possibly be the same one. ACH, I liked. Chris Bay, I thought was really good. You know who's been pretty decent every time I've turned on Strong, which, again, admittedly, not often. Fred Rosser. I thought he looked really good. And I think he's kind of fit in more and more the more times I've seen him. To me, he felt very out of place in the beginning. But I think he's kind of found a nice little groove. I can see New Japan using him and bringing him in. Leo Rush. I mean, look. I think when everybody saw that first round matchup, they were, oh, why? And, things happened the way everyone thought they were going to happen. Yeah, I mean, ACH was fine. The ACH TJP match was a first round match, right? I don't know. It was okay. Fine.
That's it. Everything was just fine. There's nothing that you're going to, you've got to watch this match. My favourite match was El Phantasmo against Leo Rush, and everything else, I would say you don't go out of your way to watch it, unfortunately.
It's there. I mean, it's there. What do you want me to do? You know what I mean? They were put in a tough spot. That's a hard spot. Nothing is terrible. Nothing is great.
Okay, well, speaking of stuff that is just there, we've got the Road to the Tokyo Dome shows announced, and one of them took place today, but there's only going to be 3 of them televised. Those are from Korakuen. We've got some notable stuff here. Tiger Mask making his comeback from diverticulitis, which is great to see. Togi Makabe's back as well. As I said before, Kanemaru's back. The third match on the December 23rd show is Toru Yano with his final KOPW 2020 defense against Farley. I believe that's going to be a body slam match, but that's not confirmed yet. But aside from that, just a lot of 6-man matches. Mikey CC says, how many stars will Grapple give the Togo JY Evil team? And the final match, the snow match, if you like, is Sho and Ibushi against Bushi and Naito, which I don't know, it's a little bit underwhelming to me. I know a lot of people wanted to see Naito Sanada against Jay and Evil, which I don't think we're getting. So, yeah, just apart from that KOPW match, which was likely to be a train wreck or very fun, depending on your angle, not really that much to get excited about.
Well, let me ask you this then. It's Naito and Bushi against Ibushi and Sho, you said?
Correct.
Okay. Who's getting the snow?
You'd think Ibushi. I would think Ibushi pinning Bushi.
Yeah. Okay.
Or it could be Sho pinning Bushi, I suppose, but
somebody's pinning Bushi, right?
Yeah.
So Ibushi gets snow again.
Did he get it last year? I can't even remember who got it last year. It was a match that we wanted Liger to win, but he didn't.
Right. I think so, right? I remember him in there with Kenny the one year, right? Was it no, it couldn't have been Tana. Was it Okada? I don't know. I had to look back. God, our memories suck. But yes, Ibushi gets the snow, I think, right? I think that's Bushi's the fucking he's the giveaway in this one, right? Yeah, I think so. I think we'll see Ibushi with the snow. All right. That's always a good fun show though.
I found it. So last year the main event was Rocky Romero, Yoshihashi, and Okada defeating Liger, Tanahashi, and Ibushi. So it was Okada who got the winning pinfall.
Okada got the snow. Okay. It's always important. It's an important thing. Who gets the snow?
Kind of like a title, isn't it?
It kind of is. And then what do we got? A body slam challenge match?
Yeah, that's what Farley said. I mean, this KOPW thing, we said when it was out, like, most likely just going to end up fizzling out, quietly swept under the carpet. It's apparently this is one of the few things that the Japanese fan base really vocally rejected. They were dead against this, apparently. A lot of emails and letters written in that they were just not into this at all. So it's just been quietly downgraded from Okada's big idea to Yano's comedy tour. Have you got any thoughts or yeah, what are your feelings on KOPW 2020? Do you think we even see it back next year?
I don't.
Or do you think this is the last we're going to hear of it?
I think this is the last we hear of it. I pray. I mean, I'll give you the positive argument. It gives people something to do. Okay.
And the records will show that El Desperado defeated Satoshi Kojima in the qualifying match.
That's true. That's true. I mean, it's something that look from the jump. We're all scratching our head of what the fuck is this? We don't need another title. It's the last thing we need, and it's just nonsense. And I can't imagine. And here's the thing. I think New Japan. I don't think New Japan knows it's okay. This shit the bed, and I think it'll be swept under the carpet. And I think by mid-21, I'll go so far as to say, let's put it this way: we won't hear about it on the Dome. It will not be a thing on the Dome next year. I would be shocked if we are talking about this fucking horse shit at the Dome next year.
Okay, so we did get some Wrestle Kingdom 50 match announcements. For January 4th, we've got Hiromu versus ELP. We've got Dangerous Tekkers against Gorillas of Destiny for the tag titles. We have Hiroshi Tanahashi versus the Great Okan. Kazuchika Okada versus Will Ospreay, and Naito versus Ibushi. Those last two were announced before, but now we've got 5 official matches so far for January 4th. Let's talk about this Tanahashi Great Okan match, because Andrew says, with Great Okan getting a Wrestle Kingdom match against Tanahashi, what grade would you give Okan's return from excursion so far? This seems like a really divisive one, because when the match was announced on Twitter, a lot of people who, admittedly these are not diehard New Japan fans, were quite derisory about the match, thinking, who's Tanahashi pissed off? Poor Tanahashi, why is he working with this idiot? Look at all the great matches he's had before. But I'm excited about this match. I think Okan has done really well since he's come back. He's gradually sort of finding his feet. He's incorporating new interesting moves into his arsenal, and he just looks more confident. Like the promo, it looks to me like he is the spokesperson for the Empire Group now, which I think is definitely the right move, because I think he is the strongest promo out of all of them. And the way he was cutting a really aggressive, confident promo without a microphone on that final show, which I thought was very impressive. I'm excited by this, Damon, and I think this is not a match that Hiroshi Tanahashi has been forced into against his will. This is an opponent that at the very least has been greenlit by Tanahashi, but I suspect has been handpicked by Tanahashi. I think when you're looking at laying out your Wrestle Kingdom cards, the first thing you start with, I guess, is the title match. And then I would say if Okada and Tanahashi are not in that title match, those singles matches with those two top guys will be the next ones that you pencil in there. So I suspect that Okada's been handpicked as Tanahashi's opponent from early on. And I think this is a sign that the company are very high on Okan, that he is going to be a player moving forward. A lot of people were doubtful about Tanahashi working with the newly returned Switchblade Jay White back at Wrestle Kingdom 12. The match wasn't any kind of classic, but it was a good match and also an indicator of what the company thought of Jay White, who of course went on to become an IWGP Heavyweight Champion. So I'm really looking forward to this match. So what did you think about Okan since his return and your thoughts on him facing Tanahashi at the Dome?
I think you're spot on when you talk about Tanahashi being a guy that can kind of pick and choose where he wants to go when it comes to Wrestle Kingdom. He's going to, he has I'm sure a very vocal voice in who he wrestles. I'm not going to go so far as to say he was handpicked by Hiroshi Tanahashi, but trust me, I'm sure he had a big say in. He didn't just show up for a meeting and be like, okay, and shrug his shoulders and shuffle his feet out the fucking door. And you're right. I think a lot of people are upset with the realization that time moves on. I think that's really the biggest issue. Everybody wants, what did I see? I saw somewhere, someone say, create new stars. No, not that star. Not that, you know what I mean? Like, that's what it feels like. The company has to build new stars. And the way you build new stars is you have them wrestle either stars that might be declining or have them surprise people and beat a top guy who's at the top. This is a big match. This is the biggest match in this guy's career. Who else are you going to put in the ring with him? Tanahashi, maybe the greatest pro wrestler of our lifetime, everyone.
And his 2020 has been him selflessly putting over opponent after opponent after opponent and having excellent matches in the process. He hasn't been out there shitting the bed, hobbling around. Whilst the story is him declining, he is still one of the best bell-to-bell wrestlers in the company, and he's proven that this year, even though he is losing all the time. And it just shows how unselfish he is. And this is not a case of we've booked matches for everyone else. Who's left for Tanahashi? Oh, sticking with Great Okan. That's not how this is playing out. They have picked an opponent for him who is gonna get him over, and just shows you need to pay attention to this guy because he's going to be a big part of New Japan's future.
And never bet against Hiroshi Tanahashi at the Tokyo Dome. I'll put a fucking used tissue in the ring, and I'll guarantee you I'll have a fucking match with Hiroshi Tanahashi.
I would also say with the Switchblade comparisons, I think Okan is more comfortable and more confident with the gimmick he's working now than Jay White was doing the Switchblade stuff back at Wrestle Kingdom 12.
Right. Now, I think the match could be fine. Better than fine. I think the match would be very good. Look, is it weird to see Great Okan in a pretty prominent match in the Tokyo Dome? Of course, yes. I mean, you see the guy walking out at Rev Pro, and you're like, "Wow, okay, this is excursion."
Yeah, and imagine that being told that on his comeback he will be wrestling a singles match against Hiroshi fucking Tanahashi. I'm excited, Damon. I'm really looking forward to this match.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's going to be. To me, it might be. If you look at that entire card, I mean, look. I think everybody's kind of penciled in Okada and Ospreay as being the match that's going to fucking blow the roof off, right? Hopefully. And Naito and Ibushi, even though it does feel like we've seen it a trillion times, it will be great. That Tanahashi-Okan match, I'm telling you flat out, I have more. To me, that's maybe the most interesting match. I will be watching that match because I just find it to be a interesting spot for New Japan Pro Wrestling and Hiroshi Tanahashi and Great Okan. I think it's an important piece of New Japan Pro Wrestling history of that what we'll be seeing at the Tokyo Dome. Again, Tanahashi at the Tokyo Dome. If you fucking hand waving that, you're mistaken. If you're hand waving Okan, who again, it's jarring. I get it. Trust me, I know it. I kind of feel that way. Jarring can be good. Give it a shot because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
January 5th, we have the winner of Hiromu El Fantasma against Ishimori for the junior title. We've got Shingo versus Jeff Cobb for the Never title. So Sentient Amanita says, are you guys nervous about Cobb winning the Never title? It was the most interesting belt precisely because Shingo could have the Despi or show matches, and I think they'd use Cobb winning it to elevate him and make it just another big boy belt. I think
he wins.
Shingo has done enough with that belt where I think Jeff Cobb winning it would be a real feather in the cap of Jeff Cobb. And I think it's them rewarding him for, well, we haven't had it confirmed yet, but it seems likely that he signed a deal with New Japan. And I think it's a good move. I'm excited for the match, and I think Cobb winning that belt, and maybe he is going to have big boy matches, but I think his G1 climax showed that there is more to Jeff Cobb's game than we thought based on last year's G1. I think he had a really decent, diverse array of matches in this year's G1 climax. So I saw enough in the G1 to make me think that Jeff Cobb, as never openweight champion once again, I mean, obviously he won it before, but that it would be a success.
Yeah, I think the match would be great. I really do. I mean, seriously, think of this. Shingo, Cobb, you're going to get your fucking beefy never openweight championship match at the Tokyo Dome. I think they're going to be fucking. I think they're going to be ready. I think they're going to be looking to have some fun. I'm not concerned about that at all. What I am a little bit concerned with is you look at that first night, right, and then you move to night 2. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some. Well, let me ask you this: there's no Will Ospreay on night 2 yet. There's no Okada on night 2. There's no Tanahashi on night 2. Feels like there's a lot of people. I mean, you figure Ibushi's not on night 2 yet. Seems like we got a lot of big names that aren't on night 2 here, Joel.
Well, Damon, you are discounting the announcement of a special singles match between Sanada and Evil, which I'm sure is going to get everyone's juices. Now, to be fair, right, on that World Tag League Best of Super Juniors final show, I thought Sanada did a good job. You know, last week we were complaining that there's no levels to him. He doesn't get upset by anything. But here, he was, I say fired up as we've seen from Sanada. He was pissed off. He was shoving the ref. He was shoving Shingo away. He was pushing the Young Lions away. And he was just going after Evil with, admittedly, some quite weak punches. And I would have liked to see a bit more emoting. But, you know, this is Sanada. He is not good at emoting. We know that is to be true with him at this point. But I applaud the effort that they did try to show some levels to the character. And obviously all of them listening to Super J-Cast, going out and following the advice we're giving them. But I applaud the effort, and it made me not, you know, this is not top of my list of matches I'm looking forward to for Wrestle Kingdom, but made me more excited for the match than I was before.
You know what? As weird as this sounds for a conservative New Japan Pro Wrestling fan, I would have loved to have seen a gimmick match here. Like, the last thing I want to see is Sanada and Evil get into a fucking armbar. You know what I mean? Like I want them to have a feud. I want a continuation of what we saw for flashes post-match between Sonata and Evil. Like, to me, a singles match between these two without something, some kind of stipulation, some kind of juice, some kind of fucking something, seems like I'm going to watch these guys fucking have a wrestling match for 20 minutes? I can't say that I give a shit. Unless they work it in a fashion and in a way that helps stimulate that emotion of these guys are at each other's throats. And truth be told, Joel, they give me no confidence that that's going to happen. So, no, I don't have confidence. I looking at what's been announced right now for night 2, that is my least interesting matchup. In fact, to me, it's my least interesting matchup of the 2 nights. Give me a least interesting matchup of the 2 nights, Joel.
I agree. That is my least interesting one.
Yep. I can't get into it. I can't fucking sink my teeth into it. I can't get fired up over it. It's there. I'm sorry. Unless they do something spectacular and blow me away and literally change the way they wrestle, what am I getting excited about? Tell me why I should care about this match.
Yeah, if it's anything like their previous matches this year, then we're in for a disappointment. But we'll see.
60 minutes.
Give
60 minutes. 60 minutes. 60 minutes. Imagine 59 minutes of that horseshit.
We'll also get the winner of Naito and Ibushi facing Jay White on January 5th. Teja says, how likely is Ibushi leaving Wrestle Kingdom with both belts from a scale of 1 to 100? I would give him a solid
8.
yeah, I was going to say 70%. Yeah, 7 out of 10 chance that he's leaving with those titles, I think. It feels cold, though, doesn't it? You know, with Jay White not being there, there's no buzz about that. And just the fact that the booking of it was so clumsy and they ruined the G1, they ruined the briefcase stipulation to crowbar this in. I'm sure in ring it will be really good, but I look at those 2 main events, I feel nothing.
No, I know, me too, man. I hate to say that, but I'm kind of glad this is the year we don't go. I'm not gonna lie. It's hard for me to find the juice. It's hard for me to find the energy in this. It does feel just duct taped together. Main event wise, it's just, man. Look, if any other company did the same thing, Joel, they would be getting the boots. The fucking boots. Look, he's had a very good year, Naito. But at every turn, while this guy holds the title, there's always some fucking thing that, like would they do this to fucking Okada or Tanahashi or this idea of double belt again? Would they do that to them? I can't imagine that ever happening. And again, the loss to, like, as much people can like it, but it was weird. The loss to Evil. I don't know, man. I just find it somewhat comical at this point what they put Naito through.
No, Damon, he's going to break the record for having the most single defense reigns of the IWGP Heavyweight title. That'll be, if he loses to Ibushi on night 1, then that will be 3 heavyweight title reigns where he's only defended it once.
Right. Do you think he's losing to Ibushi? No. Do you?
Yeah, I do think he's losing. I think actually the most interesting thing they could do would be have Naito retain and come out January 5th still as the champion. I think that would actually be exciting and interesting. But I don't think that is the likely outcome here.
Really? You're going with Ibushi?
Yeah.
And then Ibushi Jay White as the main event?
Yeah. And I guess the story would be that Ibushi is so banged up from the Naito match where they tried to kill each other that he's ripe pickings for Jay White to exploit, but somehow overcomes it. I mean, Ibushi ate a lot of shit before, didn't he? He lost both his matches at the Double Dome, so I think it's time for him to win it. Although is that going to feel? Am I going to feel anything watching that? I'm not feeling it now. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, a guy who lost the briefcase slides in.
That's it. That's what I think has taken the wind out of the sails. The fact that he lost that briefcase and then less than a day later he was crowbarred back into it. That is what has made me think. Just shrug my shoulders when I look at these matches.
And for what purpose, though? Like, okay, so he loses again. Why not just have him keep the fucking briefcase? You did that.
Well, they wanted to get Jay White in there. So again, this is the double-edged sword of having the two dome shows. That you get more money, but then if you don't, like I said back then, if you don't have the confidence to have one of your other belts headlining one of the nights, then don't run two shows. I think they should be more courageous. I think if they booked the Intercontinental title properly, they could have that headline one of the nights. Have fucking Hiromu headline it. He's a megastar. I think there would be no problem with him defending the junior heavyweight title on January 4th and then having IWGP heavyweight on January 5th. But if we're going to have this convoluted bullshit every year where you're crowbarring in a load of guys so it turns into a double gold dash where you have it defended on both nights, then that renders the G1 winner meaningless, the briefcase meaningless. Everything becomes meaningless.
Do you think that New Japan held back stuff just because they know pandemic crowd, they can only get 25 in the building per night? And to me, that's why it feels like they booked 2 nights. You know what I mean? They booked 2 nights to it, and I don't know if they got a good deal on the fucking rent at the Dome. Who knows? But they booked 2 nights so that they can get a double gate, right? That's what it feels like to me. It feels like they did 2 nights at the Dome so they can get 2 gates. Because here's the thing: what else are they going to fucking put at the Dome? Usually there's concerts, right? All that week. All the pop bands. There's something going on at that fucking Dome. It feels like that entire week. And I don't know if that's the case. I haven't looked, but it's like, okay, 20,000 a night. That's what it feels like. We want 20,000 a night, and they just didn't have enough to do it. And that Intercontinental title could have headlined. And I know some people like to shit on the Intercontinental fucking title, but that is the exact reason why they had it. For a situation that no one could have predicted, mind you.
Damon,
but mind you,
a headline Wrestle Kingdom 8. It's already done it, but now they don't want to do it anymore.
That's what I'm saying, but that's what it's for. And you had it, and you ruined it. This is, all right. Look.
That's why I say get rid of the IC title, because if you're not going to book it properly, then don't use it. If it's just
well, you could say that about 2/3 of the fucking titles.
You know what? I would say
trash.
In defense of New Japan, whilst there's a lot of stuff they've done this year that I've disliked, I think they have done a better job in booking a lot of the other mid-card titles. I think Shingo's done a tremendous job with the Never title. Dangerous Tekkers have done absolute wonders with the heavyweight tag titles. Junior tag titles, always in solid hands with Kanemaru Desperado. Never 6-man titles, they feel more important than they did with the Yoshihashi Goto Ishii team. US title is awful. That's a complete mess. But I think we've got to give credit where it's due and say that with those other titles that I've mentioned, they've done a better job this year.
None of those titles you're going to headline a Dome with. Mm-hmm. None of them.
True.
Right? So, as much as it's improved, you're not headlining a fucking Dome show with any of those. The Intercontinental, at one point, you absolutely could. You absolutely could. And they decided to merge them because I still don't get it. I'll be truthful.
I mean, look, actually, if you had Okada versus Ospreay being for the Intercontinental title, that could headline January 4th.
Certainly could. Why? Well, yes, it could. I mean, here's the thing. What's the lineup for 4? Is that the main event?
No, they haven't announced match order yet, but it's going to be Naito Ibushi. That will be the main event.
It's got to be. Yeah, okay. So why not Okada Ospreay for the Intercontinental? On night 2. I mean, here's the thing. Here's what's headlining. Naito Ibushi night 1, night 2 winner against Jay White. Okay, great. Take the double belt nonsense out of the equation. Heavyweight Intercontinental. They could do it. At one point in this company's history, they absolutely could do that. And then they put the belt on Jericho, and you didn't see the fucking title for, 6 months? 8 months, it felt like? Okay. That's what happens. And here's the thing. Does anyone give a shit at this point about the Intercontinental title being a part of this fucking schmazola? Does anyone? It's about the heavyweight title. Just fucking I don't even want to see the fucking Intercontinental title. It makes me angry now. It fucking infuriates me now. It's worthless. Who gives a shit? How are they going to get that fucking? Here are the options right now, Joel. We're going to treat it like the King of Pro Wrestling title and just fucking ignore it and have it just fucking vaporize into the air. Or 2, we got to get the fucking title off of somebody. And how in the fuck is that going to happen? Because what madman is going to be like, I'll take the Intercontinental title? What? You beat the world champion. Nah, I like the white title better. Do you? Yeah. I don't know. I'm doing a whole fucking one-act play here. All right. I'm done.
The only way it would make sense is bring back Shinsuke Nakamura, because his connection with that belt, I could buy him being like, yeah, I want the white belt, but yeah, we're just Cloud Cuckoo Land now. Okay, well, I will say this, Damon. We have, on these 2 cards, we've got 5 guys getting their first Wrestle Kingdom singles match. El Phantasmo, Great-O-Khan, Shingo, Cobb, and Evil. What does that tell you? I mean, does that suggest that there is an attempt to make new stars and elevate people in the company?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, but that's been consistent. I mean, you mentioned Jay White before, even Ospreay to a degree. Yeah, I mean, it's about creating. They know what they have. They know the roster that they have, and they know that 5 years, 8 years, 10 years is a lifetime in pro wrestling. And if you're not constantly creating new stars that connect with fans, then you're fucking lost. You're lost. This is what we're seeing, and this is what we've seen for the past couple of years. And they've done a good job of keeping that mid-card stocked for these moments. But listen, the people that were handpicked for these kind of things, and a lot of them are young lions. The young lions that you see, a lot of them go on to bigger and better things. This is the progression of that.
Paddy says, do you expect a Kenta match on night 2? Seem like with him interfering in the World Tag League final that we're setting up a juice match. Yeah, I mean, expect we'll see that juice match on either night 1 or night 2, but I don't really care for it.
Yeah, it does seem anticlimactic. Again, let's get fucking somebody at a press conference and be like, okay, Moxley, unfortunately, you're stripped of the title. Mail it back, please. And then we fight for a title. Enough of the fucking briefcase.
Mark says, 3 weeks out from Wrestle Kingdom, how disappointed are you there's no match for Suzuki, Ishii, Goto, or Sho, and they'll end up in some meaningless multi-man tag at best? Cactus Max says, wither Ishii and Suzuki for Wrestle Kingdom. This is just one of those things, Damon. You can't give a singles match for everyone, and someone's going to miss out. And, I don't mind. I like Hiroki Goto. I'm a big fan of his. He got his singles match last year against Kent. I mean, he usually always gets a singles match. So this is his year to sit out. Tough luck. Same with Ishii, same with Sho. Suzuki, I think that would be a shame if he's got nothing, because you don't know how many years he's got left. And he's had a brilliant year, and it's a shame they're not capitalising on that with a singles match, because I think he's still more than capable of producing one. So if he ends up with nothing, that will be a shame. But how do you feel about those 4 guys missing out?
Sir, you're forgetting about our never 6-man tag team championships, schmaz, or multiple tags. Enter a gauntlet match and have an easy night of 3 minutes of in-ring action and back to the locker room. That is where I see every name that you mentioned in a schmazola.
What are the chances of Empire going 3-0 at Wrestle Kingdom? I think that is the most likely outcome. I could see all 3 of those guys, Ospreay, Okan and Cobb, all winning their respective matches.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only one that would be somewhat on shaky ground would be Ospreay winning, if we care about that. But yeah, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if they went 3-0. I think Cobb's winning never, and I think the handwriting's on the wall for Okan to get a win.
Louis says, so the end of the year is here. We went from having no New Japan for a while to its triumphant return. Highs and lows with certain storylines. Cough, Evil versus Naito. Going into Wrestle Kingdom, did you guys feel that excitement from previous years? And Parker says, if you both were actually able to go to Tokyo Dome, would these lineups excite you, or would you be questioning the need to devote 2 nights of a trip to the shows? I think we covered that. I think we're both in agreement that we are not as excited this year. But let me transition that into the next question from Bash. He says, how do you feel about actually not going to the Dome this year, with the cards starting to show what's on them? Or will you just miss the camaraderie and the experience more than the matches themselves? For me, it'll be a mix of both. And yeah, that's what I'm missing out. Being able to hang out with our friends that we don't get to see outside of Wrestle Kingdom, and hanging out in TGI Fridays and getting to have a bowl of noodles together and have a few Zimas. That's what I'm going to miss. Shenanigans at the hub. So that is what I'm sad about missing out. Not being able to attend Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah,
it's outside of Wrestle Kingdom that is so much fun, and it's a highlight of my year. And seeing everyone and having laughs and busting balls and giving hugs and hanging out with your mates, and that's what I'm going to miss. I'm not going to miss the anxiety of flying, that's for sure. I thought about that. But that week is so much fun, and I get to see everyone. And everyone has a smile on their face, and everyone's tired, and everyone's exhausted. But know that while Wrestle Kingdom is an awesome thing, and you get into the Dome, and you see the ring, and you're like, we're here, this is it. That's not the number one thing. It's hanging out with everybody, and having fun, and what happens after the show, and the people that you meet, and the new people that you meet. That's what makes Wrestle Kingdom week the greatest week of the year, and I will dearly miss it. And I will miss seeing so many faces and friends that I look forward to every year. We'll be back. I promise you. We all will be back. I promise you. But for right now, we're going to make do. We're going to watch at home. I got the bar. It's being built. We're about more than halfway through. I already passed out in it. Christened it, if you will. And that's where I will be. And others will be doing similar things. But collectively know that our hearts are all together. And we'll raise our glass, and we'll raise our cans, and we'll raise our beer. And we'll put them to the sky and know that we're all thinking of each other. So we'll be back. We'll be back.
There's a toast in a lot of Jewish celebrations where you end up saying to next year in Jerusalem. But yeah, let's change that to next year in Tokyo, in TGI Fridays.
Absolutely. Yep, I've never wanted to be in TGI Fridays more. And that's saying something. So hang in there, everyone. I know it's been a rough year for a lot of people, and I know it's been tough. Hang in there. We'll be back. We'll be back.
I do have a few more questions. I'll save them for next week because I think next week it might be a slower news week. So I'll wrap it up here and say you can go to redcircle.com/shows/super-j-cast if you want to give some money to us for the amazing work that we do for you putting on this show. Discord link is in the show notes. Always a good time, good discussions to be had on there. If you you might have been privy to me and Liam's in-depth discussion about El Desperado and Hiromu Takahashi. So that's the kind of gold that you can enjoy by being on our Discord. You can go to @CobraKawaii and prowrestlingtees.com/superjcast if you want to get one of our great t-shirts. Massive thanks as always to Editor Dan, who you can find on Twitter @LousyHero219. You can also subscribe to the Voices of Wrestling podcast network for other great shows. Please give us a 5-snake review and some kind words on iTunes, which helps us move up the charts. Follow us on Twitter @TheSuperJcast. Thank you everyone for listening, and goodbye.
What does it take to end cyber attacks? At Cyber Reason, we can tell you exactly what it takes. It takes an army of battle-tested defenders on a mission. Defenders who fight foes that operate under the cover of digital darkness. Defenders who think, move, and adapt faster than cyber attackers. Defenders with the technology and effortless automation to spot and attack forming on computers, mobile devices, servers, and the cloud, and alert you when it matters most. To end cyber attacks, it takes the brightest minds in global cyber intelligence working to deliver future-ready protection to guard your data wherever the fight moves. Cyber Reason is ready to win the battle with you and for you. In the fight to end cyber attacks, we are the defenders. Join us to reverse the adversary attacks with proactive protection against ever-evolving threats. Cyber Reason. End cyber attacks from endpoints to everywhere. Learn more at cyberreason.com. That's CYBEREASON.com.
At Encova Insurance, we're committed to leaving a lasting impression in all communities we serve. We support local causes that mirror the values and interests of our associates, agents, and policyholders. We partner with organizations that are dedicated to improving lives. We are committed to building something greater than ourselves, encircling our communities with strength and support. We are Encova Insurance. Learn more at Encova.com.